What if I told you that a quarter sitting in your pocket right now could be worth far more than 25 cents? Most people spend quarters without a second thought. They toss them into vending machines, leave them in cup holders, or drop them into jars that collect dust for years. But every once in a while, an ordinary-looking coin turns out to be something much more exciting. And that brings us to a coin that millions of Americans have handled, yet very few have truly examined closely, the 1999p Washington quarter. At first glance, it seems completely ordinary. It looks like any other quarter you might receive as change at a grocery store. But hidden within this coin is a fascinating story of American history, a revolutionary coin program, rare errors, and the possibility of discovering a small treasure in everyday circulation. So before you spend your next quarter, you may want to take a closer look. To understand why the 1999p Washington quarter has captured the attention of collectors, we need to travel back to the final years of the 20th century. The year was 1999. The world was preparing for a new millennium. The internet was rapidly changing everyday life. Cell phones were becoming more common. Excitement and uncertainty filled the air as people wondered what the future would bring. At the same time, the United States Mint launched one of the most successful coin programs in American history. It was called the 50-State Quarters Program. For the first time, each state would receive its own unique quarter design. Instead of seeing the same reverse design year after year, Americans would begin collecting coins representing the history, culture, and identity of every state in the nation. The program instantly became a sensation. Families searched through change jars. Children filled coin albums. Millions of people who had never collected coins before suddenly became treasure hunters. And the 1999 quarters were the very first coins in that historic series. The Philadelphia Mint struck the coins carrying the P Mint mark. These quarters represented Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut. Because they were the first state quarters ever released, they hold a special place in American numismatic history. But here's where things become even more interesting. The Philadelphia Mint produced enormous quantities of these quarters. In fact, hundreds of millions were struck. Because of those large numbers, most 1999p quarters found in circulation today are worth only face value. So why are collectors still searching for them? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and mint errors. Coin collectors know that not all coins are created equal. Two quarters minted on the same day can have dramatically different values decades later. One may become worn from years of circulation, while another remains nearly perfect, preserving every detail exactly as it appeared when it left the mint. High-grade examples of 1999p state quarters can command impressive prices at auction. Coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services are incredibly difficult to find because even tiny scratches, marks, or imperfections can reduce a coin's grade. Think about it. A quarter travels through banks, cash registers, pockets, purses, and vending machines. Surviving decades without damage is remarkably difficult. That is why collectors are willing to pay substantial premiums for exceptional examples. But condition is only part of the story. The real excitement begins when we talk about mint errors. Mint errors are the unexpected accidents that occur during the coin production process. Sometimes a coin is struck off-center. Sometimes part of the design is missing. Sometimes a coin receives a double strike or displays unusual die characteristics. These mistakes transform ordinary coins into highly desirable collectibles. Imagine receiving a quarter in change and discovering that it contains an error worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It sounds unbelievable, but it has happened many times. Some 1999p Washington quarters have been discovered with striking anomalies that attracted serious collector interest. The rarer and more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin can become. And that possibility keeps collectors searching through rolls of quarters every single day. But there is another reason these coins remain popular. The 1999 state quarters marked a turning point in American coin collecting. Before this program began, many young people had little interest in searching pocket change. Then everything changed. Suddenly every state had its own design and its own story. People began learning history through coins. They discovered famous landmarks, important events, and symbols that represented each state. The program transformed ordinary Americans into collectors almost overnight. In many ways, the modern coin collecting boom can trace its roots directly back to these quarters. That gives the 1999p Washington quarter a significance that goes beyond its metal content or market value. It represents a moment when millions of people became connected to history through something they carried every day. Now here's a fascinating question. How many valuable coins might still be hiding in circulation? Consider this. The United States Mint produced so many quarters that it would be nearly impossible to track them all. Many ended up in collections. Others disappeared into piggy banks and forgotten drawers. Some remain hidden inside old jars that haven't been opened in decades. And a few may still be quietly circulating through the economy right now. Somewhere, someone could unknowingly be carrying a collectible coin worth far more than face value. That's the thrill of the hunt. Unlike many collectibles that require large investments, coin hunting can begin with the change already in your pocket. Every quarter becomes a potential discovery. Every handful of coins becomes an opportunity. And every trip to the bank could reveal something unexpected. Collectors often describe the experience as a treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. Most searches lead to ordinary coins, but occasionally one special coin appears. A rare date, a high-grade survivor, a valuable error, a piece of history waiting to be recognized. The 1999p Washington quarter embodies that excitement perfectly. It is common enough to find yet fascinating enough to study. It connects modern America with one of the most successful coin programs ever created. And it reminds us that extraordinary stories can sometimes be found in the most ordinary places. Perhaps that's why these quarters continue to captivate collectors more than 2 decades after they were first released. They represent history, nostalgia, and possibility all at once. Every collector remembers the excitement of finding their first state quarter. Every search brings back memories of filling albums and checking change. And every 1999p quarter serves as a reminder of the moment that started it all. So the next time a quarter lands in your hand, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the condition. Search for anything unusual. Because hidden among millions of ordinary coins could be a remarkable discovery. Maybe it's a pristine survivor. Maybe it's a rare mint error. Or maybe it's simply a piece of American history that has traveled through countless hands before reaching yours. Either way, the journey of that coin is part of a story that continues today. And who knows? The next valuable quarter might already be sitting in your pocket right now. If you enjoyed this fascinating coin story, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment telling us the most interesting coin you've ever found, and join us for more incredible discoveries from the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and forgotten history. Until next time, keep checking your change, because treasure is often closer than you think. Have you ever pulled a quarter from your pocket, glanced at it for a second, and tossed it into a jar without a second thought? What if one of those ordinary-looking coins was worth far more than 25 cents? What if a simple Washington quarter from the year 2000 was hiding a story connected to one of the most ambitious coin programs in American history? Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2000D Washington $quarter coin, a coin that millions of Americans spent without hesitation, yet one that continues to attract collectors, treasure hunters, and coin enthusiasts more than 2 decades later. At first glance, the 2000D Washington quarter doesn't seem particularly special. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington that Americans had seen on quarters for generations. But behind that familiar design lies a remarkable chapter in modern numismatic history. To understand why this coin matters, we need to travel back to the late 1990s. The United States Mint was searching for a way to renew public interest in coin collecting. For decades, circulating coin designs had remained largely unchanged. While collectors appreciated the tradition, younger generations were losing interest. Then came an idea that would completely transform American coin collecting: the 50-state quarters program. Launched in 1999, the program planned to release 5 new quarter designs every year, each honoring a different state. It was one of the most successful coin programs ever created by the United States Mint. People who had never collected coins before suddenly found themselves checking their change, searching through piggy banks, and swapping quarters with friends and family. By the year 2000, excitement was spreading across the nation. And that's where our coin enters the story. The 2000 D Washington quarter was struck at the famous Denver Mint in Colorado, represented by the small D mint mark found on the coin. During that year, the Mint released 5 state quarter designs: Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Virginia. Millions of Americans eagerly searched for each new release. The Denver Mint worked around the clock, producing enormous quantities of quarters to meet public demand. In fact, hundreds of millions of these coins were struck. The mintage numbers were so massive that many people assumed these coins would never become collectible. But history has a funny way of surprising people. Even though millions were produced, not all surviving coins are equal. Think about it. Most quarters immediately entered circulation. They jingled in cash registers, rolled across counters, sat in vending machines, and spent years passing from hand to hand. As a result, many examples became scratched, worn, and damaged. Finding a pristine, high-grade 2000 D Washington quarter today is far more challenging than many people realize. Collectors are constantly searching for coins that somehow escaped the wear and tear of everyday commerce. And when they find exceptional examples, the prices can be surprising. A quarter that was originally worth just 25 cents can sell for many dollars, or even significantly more if it receives an outstanding professional grade. But condition isn't the only factor driving interest. There is another reason collectors examine these coins so carefully: errors. Coin errors are among the most exciting discoveries in the hobby. Imagine receiving change at a grocery store and finding a coin with a striking mistake created during the minting process. It sounds impossible, yet it happens. Throughout the state quarters era, collectors discovered a variety of errors, including off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, double designs, and other unusual minting mistakes. Some error quarters have sold for impressive sums because they are unique or extremely scarce. This possibility keeps treasure hunters searching. Every roll of quarters becomes a potential mystery waiting to be solved. Every coin becomes a chance to uncover something extraordinary. And that excitement is exactly what fuels the hobby. But there's another fascinating aspect of the 2000 D Washington quarter that many people overlook. It represents a moment in American history. The year 2000 wasn't just another year. It marked the beginning of a new millennium. Across the United States and around the world, people celebrated the arrival of a new century. There was optimism, excitement, and curiosity about the future. The coins minted during that period became small metal time capsules. Every 2000 D quarter carries the memory of that historic moment. Think about where these coins have traveled. Some may have been used to buy a cup of coffee on a cold winter morning in 2000. Others may have paid for movie tickets, school lunches, or family vacations. For more than 2 decades, these quarters have quietly witnessed countless everyday moments. Each coin has a story, even if we'll never know exactly what it is. That sense of mystery is part of what makes coin collecting so captivating. A coin isn't just metal. It's history you can hold in your hand. It's a direct connection to the people who lived before us. And sometimes, it's a connection worth much more than face value. Now, let's talk about value. One of the biggest misconceptions among beginners is that every old coin is automatically valuable. That's simply not true. Most circulated 2000 D Washington quarters are worth only their face value or a small premium. However, coins in exceptional condition can attract serious collector attention. Professional grading services evaluate coins using detailed standards. Tiny differences that may seem invisible to the average person can dramatically affect value. A coin with sharp details, original luster, and minimal imperfections can command much higher prices than an ordinary example. Some top-grade specimens have sold for hundreds of dollars, proving that condition can transform a common coin into a collector's prize. That's why experienced collectors often search through bank rolls and pocket change. They know that hidden gems still exist. And occasionally, those searches pay off. Imagine discovering that a quarter sitting unnoticed in a coin jar for years is actually a premium collectible. It happens more often than many people think. Of course, rarity remains one of the most important factors in numismatics. The 2000D Washington quarter is not rare in terms of total mintage. But truly superb examples are much scarcer than the raw production numbers suggest. That's a lesson every collector eventually learns. A coin can be common overall yet rare in elite condition. And that distinction can make all the difference. Perhaps the most remarkable achievement of the 2000D Washington quarter wasn't its value or its rarity. It was its ability to inspire. The state quarters program introduced millions of people to coin collecting. Children began filling maps with quarters from different states. Families searched through change together. Teachers used the coins to discuss geography and history. For many collectors active today, those state quarters were the very first coins that sparked their interest. In that sense, the 2000D Washington quarter helped create an entire new generation of numismatists. Few coins can claim such an impact. So the next time you see a 2000D Washington quarter, don't dismiss it as just another piece of spare change. Take a closer look. Check its condition. Examine its details. Look for unusual errors. Consider the journey it may have taken over the past 20+ years. Because hidden inside that small silver-colored coin is a story about American history, a nationwide collecting craze, and the possibility that treasure can still be found in the most unexpected places. And who knows? The next valuable discovery might already be sitting in your pocket right now. Have you ever found an interesting quarter, a rare coin, or an unexpected treasure in your change? Share your story in the comments below. Coin collectors love hearing about real discoveries, and your find might inspire someone else to start searching. If you enjoyed this journey into the history and value of the 2000D Washington quarter, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We explore fascinating coins, hidden treasures, rare collectibles, and incredible stories from the world of numismatics every week. Until next time, keep checking your change, because history might be hiding in the palm of your hand. Have you ever picked up a quarter from your pocket, looked at it for a second, and tossed it aside without another thought? What if one of those ordinary-looking quarters could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2001 Washington quarter, a coin that millions of Americans handled every day, yet a few rare examples have become hidden treasures that collectors desperately hunt for. At first glance, the 2001 Washington quarter seems completely ordinary. It's just another 25-cent coin. But beneath its familiar design lies a story of American history, massive production numbers, rare minting mistakes, and the thrilling possibility that a valuable specimen could still be hiding in circulation. To understand why this coin matters, we need to travel back to the year 2001. America was entering a new century. Technology was changing rapidly. The internet was becoming part of everyday life. Meanwhile, the United States Mint was in the middle of one of the most successful coin programs in history, the State Quarters Program. Launched in 1999, the program transformed ordinary pocket change into collectible pieces of American history. Every year, 5 new state-themed quarters were released, celebrating the unique heritage of different states. Millions of people who had never collected coins before suddenly began searching their change, filling maps and albums, and hunting for the latest releases. The 2001 Washington quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of America's oldest and most famous minting facilities. The letter P on the coin indicates its birthplace in Philadelphia. That year, several state quarter designs were issued, including New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Kentucky. Together, these coins represented important chapters in American history and culture. The obverse, or front side, featured the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This iconic design traces its roots back to 1932, when it was introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. Think about that for a moment. A design created during the Great Depression continued into the 21st century, connecting generations of Americans through a simple coin. Now here's where things become interesting. The Philadelphia Mint struck an enormous number of 2001 quarters. Hundreds of millions entered circulation. With such massive production, most examples are worth exactly 25 cents today. So why do collectors care? The answer lies in rarity, not rarity of the date itself, but rarity of condition and errors. Coin collecting has always been a fascinating treasure hunt. Sometimes the most valuable discoveries aren't ancient gold coins or pirate treasure. Sometimes they're modern coins that escaped the mint with unusual characteristics. Imagine a worker at a mint producing hundreds of millions of coins. Despite sophisticated equipment, tiny mistakes occasionally occur. A slight misalignment, an incomplete strike, a doubled image. Most people never notice these details. Collectors do. And when they find them, values can skyrocket. Some 2001 Washington quarters have been discovered with striking errors that make them highly desirable. These include off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other unusual minting anomalies. A coin that should have been worth 25 cents suddenly becomes a unique artifact. But errors aren't the only source of value. Condition plays an enormous role. Think about the journey of a typical quarter. It moves through cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, wallets, and pockets. Every scratch, nick, and dent reduces its quality. Now imagine a quarter that somehow escaped circulation entirely. Its surfaces remain bright and sharp. Every detail of Washington's portrait appears crisp. The original mint luster shines as if the coin were made yesterday. Collectors call these high-grade specimens. Because millions of quarters were heavily used, finding a perfectly preserved example becomes surprisingly difficult. This creates an interesting paradox. A coin that is common in average condition can become extremely rare in exceptional condition. Professional grading services evaluate coins using strict standards. The difference between one grade and another can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth hundreds or even thousands. And that brings us to one of the most exciting aspects of the 2001 Washington quarter. Auction records have shown that certain top-grade examples have sold for remarkable amounts of money. Why? Because elite collectors compete fiercely for the finest known specimens. When only a handful exist in extraordinary condition, demand can dramatically exceed supply. It's a fascinating reminder that value isn't always determined by age. Many people assume older automatically means more valuable. That's not always true. A worn-out coin from the 19th century might be worth less than a flawless modern quarter. The condition can be everything. But beyond collector value, the 2001 Washington quarter also tells a deeper story about American culture. The state quarters program wasn't just about coins. It was about identity. Each design celebrated the people, landscapes, achievements, and history that shaped individual states. Millions of Americans learned about geography and history through pocket change. Children searched through jars of coins hoping to complete collections. Families traded duplicates. Grandparents introduced younger generations to the hobby. Few government programs have ever inspired such widespread participation. In many ways, the quarter became a miniature history lesson that traveled across the nation. And here's a question worth considering. How many valuable coins have unknowingly passed through your hands? How many people spent a rare coin on a cup of coffee? How many treasures disappeared into vending machines? The truth is, nobody knows. Stories occasionally emerge about lucky individuals finding valuable coins in ordinary places. A coin jar inherited from a relative. A forgotten roll from a bank. Change received at a grocery store. These discoveries fuel the excitement of coin collecting. Because every search carries a possibility, however small, that something extraordinary is waiting to be found. The 2001 Washington quarter represents that possibility perfectly. Most are ordinary. A few are exceptional. And somewhere out there, undiscovered examples may still be hiding. Perhaps tucked away in an old collection. Perhaps forgotten in a drawer. Perhaps sitting right now inside a coin jar collecting dust. Another fascinating aspect is how modern coin collecting continues evolving. When these quarters were first released, few people imagined that some would eventually command significant premiums among collectors. Yet as years passed, grading populations became clearer. The finest examples became more difficult to locate. Competition increased. What was once common slowly developed scarcity at the highest levels. It's a lesson repeated throughout numismatic history. Today's pocket change can become tomorrow's collectible. The challenge is identifying which pieces will stand out. And that uncertainty keeps collectors searching. As we look back on the 2001 Washington quarter, we see much more than a simple 25-cent coin. We see the legacy of George Washington. We see the success of the state quarters program. We see the craftsmanship of the Philadelphia Mint. We see the excitement of error hunting. We see the pursuit of perfection in high-grade collecting. And perhaps most importantly, we see the enduring appeal of treasure hunting in everyday life. Because unlike buried treasure hidden on remote islands, coin collecting offers a treasure hunt that anyone can join. The next valuable discovery might not require a metal detector or an archaeological expedition. It might simply require paying closer attention to the coins already around you. So the next time a quarter lands in your hand, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the condition. Search for unusual features. You never know what story that coin might tell, or what value it might hold. And who knows? That ordinary-looking 2001 Washington quarter sitting unnoticed in a pocket, drawer, or coin jar today could become your next great discovery. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden story behind the 2001 Washington quarter, make sure to subscribe and join us for more fascinating journeys into the world of rare coins, forgotten treasures, and unbelievable discoveries hiding in plain sight. And before you go, take a look through your own change and let us know what interesting coins you found. Your next quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents, and the treasure hunt may be closer than you think. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your pocket right now could be worth far more than 25 cents? Most people spend quarters without giving them a second thought. They buy a cup of coffee, feed a parking meter, or toss the coin into a jar and forget about it. But every once in a while, an ordinary-looking coin surprises collectors and treasure hunters alike. And today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating modern quarters that continues to attract attention across the coin-collecting world, the 2015 Washington quarter. At first glance, it doesn't look unusual. It's a modern coin produced in huge numbers by the United States Mint. Millions of Americans have handled one without realizing it. Yet hidden among these common quarters are examples that have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases, even more than most people would expect from a coin made in the 21st century. So what makes the 2015 Washington quarter special? Why are collectors searching through pocket change for it? And could one be hiding in your own collection right now? To answer that question, we need to travel back to 2015. The year 2015 was part of the incredibly popular America the Beautiful Quarters program. This ambitious series began in 2010 and celebrated national parks and historic sites across the United States. Each year, several unique quarter designs were released, giving collectors something new to hunt for. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark, produced millions of quarters during that year. These coins carried the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, a design that traces its roots back to 1932 when America celebrated the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. But while the front remained familiar, the reverse designs showcased some of America's most treasured landmarks. In 2015, 5 different quarter designs were issued. They honored Homestead National Monument in Nebraska, Kisatchie National Forest in Louisiana, Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge in Delaware, and Saratoga National Historical Park in New York. Each design told a story. Each design represented a piece of American heritage. And each design created excitement among collectors eager to complete their sets. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. The vast majority of 2015 P quarters are worth only face value. If you find a worn example in circulation, it's still worth 25 cents. That reality disappoints many people hoping every old coin is a hidden treasure. But coin collecting has always been about the exceptions. And the exceptions can be extraordinary. You see, not all coins leave the mint in perfect condition. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes occur. Tiny mechanical issues can create dramatic errors that transform an ordinary coin into something highly desirable. Collectors spend years searching for these mistakes. Why? Because mint errors are accidental. They weren't supposed to exist. That rarity often makes them valuable. Some 2015 Washington quarters have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the design appears shifted to one side. Others have shown double details, unusual die cracks, or striking abnormalities that immediately catch the eye. When such errors are authenticated by professional grading services, their value can increase dramatically. Imagine finding a quarter in your change that looks slightly unusual. Most people would spend it without thinking twice. A knowledgeable collector, however, might recognize a rare mint error worth hundreds of dollars. Stories like these fuel the excitement of modern coin hunting. And that's not the only reason collectors chase the 2015 quarter. Condition matters enormously. In coin collecting, a coin's state of preservation can completely transform its value. Think about it. Millions of quarters enter circulation every year. They get dropped, scratched, rubbed against other coins, and exposed to years of wear. Finding a flawless example becomes increasingly difficult. That's why collectors pay premiums for coins graded in exceptionally high mint state conditions. Professional grading companies carefully evaluate coins under magnification. Even tiny imperfections can affect the final grade. A common 2015 quarter might be worth only face value. But a superb gem quality example with an elite grade can command surprisingly strong prices at auction. In some cases, top population examples have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars because so few survive in nearly perfect condition. That fact often shocks non-collectors. How can a modern quarter be worth so much? The answer lies in rarity at the highest grade levels. While millions exist, very few remain virtually flawless. And collectors competing to own the best examples drive prices upward. But beyond value, these quarters tell a larger story about America itself. Take the Saratoga quarter, for example. It commemorates the site of one of the most important battles of the American Revolution. The victory at Saratoga changed the course of history and helped secure international support for the American cause. Or consider the Blue Ridge Parkway quarter. Its design captures one of America's most scenic roadways, stretching through breathtaking mountain landscapes. Every design serves as a miniature history lesson carried in the pockets of everyday Americans. That's part of what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Coins aren't just money. They're time capsules. They're pieces of history that pass through countless hands while silently preserving stories from the past. Now here's a question. How many people have unknowingly spent a valuable coin? The answer is probably more than we can imagine. Across America, rare coins are accidentally spent every day. They end up in cash registers, vending machines, and coin jars. Some are discovered by lucky collectors. Others disappear forever into circulation. That's why experienced treasure hunters always check their change. They understand a simple truth. You never know what you might find. And the 2015 Washington quarter remains one of those coins worth examining closely. Not because every example is valuable, but because the right example could be. Perhaps it's a spectacular mint state specimen. Perhaps it's an unusual error coin. Or perhaps it's a rare variety that has escaped attention. The thrill comes from the possibility. That sense of discovery keeps collectors searching year after year. In many ways, modern coin collecting resembles a treasure hunt hidden in plain sight. Unlike buried pirate gold or ancient artifacts, these treasures can appear in your pocket change. They might be sitting in a forgotten drawer. They might be mixed into a jar on a kitchen shelf. And sometimes they reveal themselves when least expected. As we reach the end of our journey, the 2015 Washington quarter reminds us that value isn't always obvious at first glance. A A coin that most people ignore could hold historical significance, collector demand, or even surprising monetary worth. The next time you receive change, take a closer look. Examine the date. Find the mint mark. Study the details. Because every coin has a story, and occasionally one of those stories turns into a treasure. So, have you ever found an unusual quarter in your pocket change? Do you own any of the 2015 America the Beautiful quarters? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy discovering hidden treasures, rare coins, fascinating history, and surprising values, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You never know which coin might be worth a fortune, and your next great discovery could already be waiting in your pocket. Have you ever looked at a modern quarter and wondered if one of those ordinary coins rattling around in your pocket could be worth far more than 25 cents? What if a coin minted just a few years ago could spark a nationwide treasure hunt among collectors? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2022 Washington quarter, a coin that many people spend without a second thought, yet one that has captured the attention of collectors across America. At first glance, the 2022 Washington quarter doesn't seem unusual. It's a modern coin, still commonly found in circulation, and millions of Americans use it every day. But beneath its familiar appearance lies a remarkable chapter in American numismatic history, one connected to a major redesign, a new generation of collectors, and the ongoing search for rare and valuable errors. To understand why this coin matters, we need to travel back to the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter first appeared in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of America's first president, George Washington. What began as a commemorative design quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in American history. For decades, generations of Americans carried Washington's portrait in their pockets, using these quarters for everything from parking meters to vending machines. But in 2022, something significant happened. The United States Mint launched the American Women Quarters Program, a historic initiative celebrating influential women who helped shape the nation. This program marked a major change in quarter design and introduced new reverse images that immediately attracted both collectors and the general public. The 2022 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, represented by the small P mint mark found on the coin. Philadelphia has been producing American coinage since the late 1700s, making it one of the most important mints in the country's history. What makes the 2022 issue especially interesting is that it was the first year of the American Women Quarters program. Collectors often focus heavily on first-year issues because they represent the beginning of a new chapter. Whenever a major coin series starts, excitement builds, and people rush to save examples from circulation. Millions of these quarters were produced, but that doesn't mean every coin is identical. In fact, some of the most valuable modern coins become valuable not because of low mintages, but because of unexpected mistakes. Imagine a coin being struck with a die crack, an off-center strike, a double design, or another unusual minting error. These mistakes can transform an ordinary quarter into a collector's prize. Across online marketplaces and coin auctions, error hunters constantly search through rolls of quarters, hoping to uncover one of these hidden treasures. And that's where the mystery begins. Every year, countless collectors inspect freshly minted coins under magnification. Sometimes they discover tiny details that others miss. A strange line, an unusual doubling effect, a die chip in an unexpected location. Most turn out to be minor imperfections, but occasionally a genuine mint error emerges and creates a wave of excitement throughout the collecting community. Could undiscovered varieties of the 2022 Washington quarter still be circulating today? It's entirely possible. After all, history has shown that some famous coin varieties remained unnoticed for years before collectors identified them. Coins that once passed from hand to hand unnoticed eventually became highly sought-after rarities. The year 2022 was also unique because multiple reverse designs were released throughout the year, each honoring a different influential American woman. This created additional interest among collectors trying to assemble complete sets. For many Americans, these quarters became more than spare change. They became miniature history lessons. Each design tells a story about achievement, perseverance, and contributions that shaped the nation. As these quarters entered circulation, millions of people encountered names and stories they may never have learned otherwise. That cultural significance adds another layer to the coin's appeal. Collectors are often drawn to coins that represent important moments in history. The 2022 quarters mark the beginning of a program designed to celebrate remarkable women from diverse backgrounds and professions. In many ways, these coins serve as tiny historical monuments traveling through the economy. But let's talk about value, because that's the question most people ask. Can a 2022p Washington quarter actually be worth money? The answer depends on condition. Most circulated examples are worth their face value of 25 cents. However, coins preserved in exceptional mint state condition can command premiums among collectors. The better the condition, the greater the potential value. Professional grading services evaluate coins using detailed standards. A coin that appears flawless under magnification can receive a high-grade designation, making it more desirable to serious collectors. Then there are the error coins. A significant mint error can dramatically increase a coin's value. Depending on the rarity and visibility of the error, collectors may pay far more than face value. Some modern coin errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's why so many treasure hunters continue searching. Think about it for a moment. How many quarters pass through your hands every year? Dozens? Hundreds? Maybe thousands? Now imagine that one of those quarters contains an unusual minting error that only a trained eye would notice. Most people would spend it without hesitation. A collector, however, might recognize something special. That possibility is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Unlike many hobbies that require expensive equipment or significant investment, coin collecting can begin with the change in your pocket. Every quarter becomes a potential discovery. Every roll from the bank becomes a treasure chest waiting to be explored. The 2022p Washington quarter perfectly represents that excitement. It's modern enough that examples remain easy to find, yet important enough historically that collectors actively seek them. It connects the past and present, combining the legacy of George Washington with a new program honoring influential American women. There is also something fascinating about the timing of this coin. The world in 2022 was very different from the world when the original Washington quarter debuted in 1932. Nearly 90 years separate those two moments. Yet the same portrait of Washington continues to appear on the nation's quarter-dollar coin, linking generations of Americans through a shared piece of currency. Few objects achieve that kind of continuity. Coins survive wars, economic changes, technological revolutions, and cultural shifts. They pass from person to person, carrying stories along the way. Some end up forgotten in jars. Others find their way into collections. A few become legendary rarities. Where will the story of the 2022p Washington quarter lead? Only time will tell. Future collectors may look back on these coins as important artifacts marking the beginning of a significant series. New varieties could be discovered. Rare errors could emerge from circulation. High-grade examples may become increasingly difficult to locate as years pass and more coins accumulate. That's the beauty of coin collecting. No one knows exactly which coins will become tomorrow's treasures. Some of the most valuable coins in history started as ordinary pocket change. The people who spent them never imagined their future significance. Today, collectors search tirelessly for those same coins, willing to pay extraordinary amounts to own them. Could the next great discovery already be sitting in someone's coin jar? Could a rare 2022p Washington quarter be hiding in a cash register, a bankroll, or a forgotten drawer? Those questions keep collectors searching. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson this coin teaches us. Value isn't always obvious. Sometimes the most interesting treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a moment to examine it. Look for the mint mark. Study the details. Appreciate the history it carries. You never know what story that small piece of metal might tell. And who knows? The next quarter you find could be more than just 25 cents. could be the beginning of your own treasure hunting adventure. If you enjoyed uncovering the story behind the 2022 Washington Quarter, make sure to subscribe and join us for more fascinating journeys into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unexpected discoveries. Every coin has a story, every pocket change hunt holds a possibility, and your next valuable find could be closer than you think. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and keep your eyes on your change.